Hello and welcome to eBay with Chris. I am on a journey to build an eBay business from $0 to $3,000 profit per month in less than 1 year. Can I do it? I don't know. I've never sold on eBay before this. So follow this series of weekly updates to see how I do. So in this video, I will share what inspired me to do this and how I started selling my own personal items. I'm also going to reveal the niche that I chose to build this business and where I'm going to source those products. I will also give you a report on my February numbers, which is the second month in this journey, and also show you a couple of mistakes I've made and the lessons I've learned on the way. Finally, at the end of this video, we're going to do some math and we're going to look at my plan to reach my goal of $3,000 profit per month in less than 1 year. So where did I get this crazy idea of selling on eBay? Well, it all started last fall when I started to see a number of short videos in my social media feed. You know, videos where someone would go to a garage sale and they say, hey, look what I found at this garage sale to sell it for big profits on eBay. Or look at this Goodwill haul that I'm going to sell on eBay for big profits. And those videos were kind of entertaining, so I started to watch some of the long form videos. A couple of the pickers that I really enjoyed watching. One was the Commonwealth picker and the other is the homeschool picker. They were fun to watch. It was kind of neat to see some of the different products they would find and how much they would sell for. Then I thought, you know what? I've got some things around the house that I don't use anymore. Let's see if I can sell them. So I had some old employee swag from a company I used to work for, some t-shirts and hoodies that I thought people would be interested in. I also had some of my daughter's snow boots that they don't wear anymore, they don't fit, and an old train set that my son and I used to play with when he was like between 5 and 10 years old. But they've basically been sitting in boxes for 15 years or so. So I thought, hey, people probably want these things, so let's see if I can sell them on eBay. So I listed my first item on eBay on October 21st, 2022. It was one of my son's G-scale train pieces. It was an Lehman LGB crane car, and it didn't sell. It wasn't my first sale. It was the first thing I listed, but it did sell 5 weeks later. The first item that actually sold was another train item. It was a Lehman LGB crossing gate, and that sold on October 27th, 2022. So that was the date of my first sale, and I was pretty excited about that. I thought, wow, this actually works. People want some of the items that I have. Let's see what else I could sell. What was great about that first sale is that it taught me how to list things on eBay. It taught me how to look at comparable items on eBay. What are they selling for? So I can price mine competitively. I also was able to look at some of their keywords that they used in their listing and basically copy some of that format and change some of the words so I was really clear about what I was selling, about my particular item. I also learned how to package it up and how to do the shipping. You know, all of that was brand new to me, but that first sale, there's a lot of lessons learned. So after that, you know, I wasn't intent on selling on eBay or trying this experiment, but it was fun. It was something I enjoyed doing, so I decided to see what else I could sell around the house. So a little over a month later, I was driving by Goodwill on December 5th, 2022, and I decided to just pop in and kind of see if there was anything I could find on the shelves like they do in those videos where they find all these cool items to sell on eBay. So I popped in and I found a couple of Christmas items that I thought were interesting. It was December 5th. I thought these items might sell, but I wasn't sure. I did actually use the eBay app while I was in the Goodwill to see if there was any demand for these products, what they were selling for, you know, to make sure it was profitable. Yeah, so that night I listed one of the items, which was a Department 56 Snow Village Grandma's House, I believe it was called. I believe I paid $8 for it, and I sold it 2 days later for $29 plus shipping. So I was pretty pumped. I also sold another item, which was a snow globe, but unfortunately, that item arrived to the customer broken. Apparently I didn't pack it very well or something, so I was able to learn how to issue a refund. Over the Christmas holidays, I found myself binge watching a few resellers that focus on clothing and shoes. For example, Dad Planet, Thrift a Life, Sea Fashion Guru. These were some of the resellers that I started binge watching, and I learned a lot about clothing and sourcing at the Goodwill and the bins. So in January, I decided to go into a Goodwill store nearby and look through a bunch of their clothes with the knowledge that I had gained from those videos to see if I could find anything interesting. Of course, while I was in the store, I was looking up the brands, looking up the items on eBay, and just to see if there was any demand for it, what was the sell-through rate, what was the comparable prices that they had sold for. I wanted to make sure I was trying to reduce my risk and not buying things without having a good confidence that they would sell pretty quickly. I picked up a couple pairs of shoes, a couple of shirts, and a coat called a Stormy Seas jacket that actually has an inflatable life jacket inside of it, which I thought was really interesting. I looked up the comparables, and although the prices were kind of all over the board, I figured I would be able to make some profit on that. I bought it for $15 and sold it 2 days later for $70. So I was really pumped about that. That was exciting. So after that experience, I decided, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to see if I can grow an eBay business from $0 to $3,000 profit in 1 year. So I also decided to focus on clothing, which I think is pretty funny because I am not a fashionable person. I wear comfortable clothing that is functional and cheap. So I don't really know brands, I don't know styles, but I can learn them. And there's a lot of good information out on YouTube from some of those sources that I previously mentioned. And also I can just do the research and learn on the go, and that's what I decided to do. I also decided to focus on clothing for a couple reasons. One is that I can source them locally. There's plenty. I can go to garage sales, I can go to retail thrift stores, and there's also a Goodwill outlet bins located near me about 30 minutes away. So I thought, okay, there's plenty of products to source. The other thing is I need inexpensive items to source. I don't have a lot of capital to do this. My budget is going to be $100 per week to source products and grow this business, which isn't a lot. So I need to be able to keep my cost of goods to around $2 a piece. So that means I really can't pay retail thrift store prices. I can't afford to buy shirts for $7 and pants for $10 and shoes for $10 in order to get enough items to grow this business. I'm going to need to source them for less than $2 a piece, which means I need to go to the Goodwill outlet bins, or I need to source them at deeply discounted prices at the local thrift stores. But I know I can do that. I know I can build this business on $100 a week. Of course, as the business grows, I can take some of that money and turn it around and put it back into the business and maybe be able to afford more expensive items to sell. But I'm going to start with the inexpensive items and grow it from there. Okay, so now let's look at my numbers for the month of February. I consider February to be month number 2 on this journey from $0 to $3,000 profit per month. Although I was selling a little bit in January, I wasn't super serious, but I did buy some items at the local Goodwill thrift store and sold a few of those items. So I consider that month number 1. However, month number 2 is when I really got serious and I started to source at the Goodwill outlet bins, and I purchased quite a few items and listed quite a few items to grow my store. So let's go ahead and look at those numbers now. Okay, so we're going to look at my numbers from February 1st to February 26th. After this point, I'm going to give you weekly updates on my progress. Okay, so in those 26 days, I went to the Goodwill bins 5 times, and I spent a total of $274 on 127 items for an average buy cost of $2.16. On February 1st, the number of items that I had in my eBay store was 39. So I listed 115 items. I sold 21, and I ended the month, or on February 26th, the total items in my store was 133 items. So like I said, I sold 21 items, and my total gross sales were $727.61. My average selling price was $34.65, and that includes shipping. My eBay fees were 33.9%. Or $246.38. During those 26 days in February, My eBay payout was $432.02. Another metric that I think is really important that I hear clothing sellers, and probably all eBay sellers, I guess, look at is what is called your sell-through rate. So that is the percentage of the items in your store that you sell on a daily basis. So for example, if you have 100 items on your store and you have a 1% sell-through rate, that means you would sell 1 item per day. 1% of 100, 1 item per day. If you had 1,000 items in your store at a 2% sell-through rate, you would sell 20 items per day. I had to do quick math there. Or if you had 0.5% of a sell-through rate with 1,000 items, you would sell 5 items per day. So this is an important metric for me. I need to have a good sell-through rate will indicate whether or not I'm buying items that people want, if I'm priced correctly, are my listings good. So that's a really important metric that I need to keep an eye on. After reviewing a number of videos on YouTube about sell-through rate for clothing sellers, I have found that they consider a 1% sell-through rate to be pretty good, 2% sell-through rate to be phenomenal. But it seems like many of them are saying that a 0.5% of a sell-through rate is what they're typically seeing now. So I'm going to go ahead and use that number to figure out how much inventory I need in order to meet my goal, and I'll show you that at the end. My sell-through rate for the month of February was pretty good. So I sold 21 items in 26 days. I had an average of 86 items in my inventory. Remember, I went from 39 items at the beginning on February 1st to 133 items on February 26th. So I just assumed an average of 86 items during that whole time frame. So I took 21 items, divided it by 26 days, and divided that number again by 86 items in my store. And I came up with a 0.9% sell-through rate. So just under 1%. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's just kind of see how that goes every week. I need to monitor that to make sure I'm buying items that people want and pricing them correctly. It's a vital stat for my store to make sure I can hit my goal. So on this journey, I also want to share mistakes or lessons learned, because I'm a new seller. And I'm hoping that you, if you're a new seller, that you can learn from me as well. But if you're an experienced seller, please provide tips and tricks in the comments to help me learn faster, to help others learn faster. One of the things that I learned is I need to inspect the zippers of coats and different items that I buy. So I bought 2 coats at the Goodwill bins. I bought many coats, but 2 of those coats, the zippers didn't work. I got them home and I was getting ready to take pictures of them. I laid them out on the floor and I tried to zip them up, and the zippers were completely broken. They weren't functioning at all. I'd start the zip and the bottom would unzip as I was going up. So obviously I'm not going to sell those. So that was basically a $5 per item lesson learned. I wasted $10 on product that I can't sell. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and redonate those. But that's a good lesson learned. Now I inspect the zippers on every item I buy at the Goodwill bins. I take it and I zip it up, make sure that works well. And I've made many other mistakes, and I'll share some more of those in other videos. Okay, so now it's time to figure out how I'm going to reach this goal of profiting $3,000 per month selling on eBay in less than 1 year. Let's reverse engineer it. Let's do some math. Since I'm already 2 months into this journey of selling on eBay, that means I only have 10 months left in order to hit my goal of selling enough products on eBay to profit $3,000 per month. As of February 26th, that means I only have 44 weeks in order to achieve this goal. So how am I going to do it? Let's break down the numbers. First target is I need to profit $10 per item in order to hit the goal. So that's my target. In order to profit $10 per item, I need to have an average selling price of about $20 plus shipping per item. So after eBay fees and after my cost of goods, my profit will average around $10 per item. With shipping costs averaging around $8 per item, my actual total average selling price will be $28. So that will be one of the metrics that we'll look at every single week to determine if I am on track of hitting my goal of profiting $3,000 per month. If my average profit per item is $10, that means in order to hit my goal, I need to sell 300 items in 1 month in order to profit $3,000. Breaking it down even further, that means I need to sell an average of 10 items per day in order to hit my goal. So how do I do that? How do I sell 10 items per day? Well, assuming that I have an average sell-through price of 0.5%, I can do the math and figure out how many items I need in my store in order to sell 10 items per day, 300 items per month, and profit $3,000 per month. The number is 2,000 items. So if my store has 2,000 items with an average sell-through price of 0.5%, that means I will sell 10 items per day. And I only have 40 weeks to hit this goal. You see, I want to have 2,000 items in my store at the beginning of December. That gives me the entire month of December to sell an average of 10 items per day, 300 items in the month, and profit $3,000 in that month. So 40 weeks, that's all I got. And in 40 weeks, if I want to grow my store from 133 items right now to 2,000 items, I need to add 50 items per week to my store. That's not just listing 50 items. I need to increase my store by 50 items. So if I sell 10 items that week, I need to list 60 items. So my store grows by 50 total items. If I sell 100 items in a week, that means I need to list 150 items in order to grow my store by 50 items per week. So the target is an increase of 50 items per week of my inventory. So these are the 3 key metrics. I know that if I hit these metrics, I'm going to achieve my goal. So the first metric is 50 items per week. I just need to increase my store by 50 items per week. The second metric is the average selling price. I need to have an average selling price of $28 or greater in order to achieve my goal of a profit of $10 per item. And finally, the last metric is the sell-through rate of 0.5%. I need to have a larger sell-through rate of 0.5%. That means that I'm buying the right things that people want, I'm pricing them correctly, my listings look good, and if I have an average sell-through rate of greater than 0.5%, I know that I'll hit my goal. So join me on this journey. If you're new to selling on eBay like me, come on, let's do this. Let's go on this ride together. Let's grow together. Let's hit our goals, hit our targets. If you're an experienced eBay seller, please comment. Provide us with some tips and tricks, things that we can do better, learn faster, grow faster. Looking forward to this journey. It's going to be amazing. So every week I'm going to give you an update. I'm going to give you all of my numbers. I'm going to tell you how many items I purchased, my average buy cost, how many items did I list, did I hit my goal of growing my store by 50 items, what was my average selling price, my average sell-through rate, how many hours did I work, what was my eBay payout. I'll give you all those numbers. Plus I'm going to provide some things that I learned, some mistakes that I made. So hopefully you can avoid those mistakes or learn from those mistakes as you grow your eBay business. I'm also going to look at some of my processes, and as I grow and figure things out, I'm going to show you how I've made improvements to my processes. Follow along, join me on this journey, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next week.